Welcome to the Primal Persistence Podcast, the podcast where I will give you health and fitness tips for your journey toward health and fitness through knowledge from me and guests that we both can learn from. So let's get started with the Primal Persistence Podcast. Enjoy. Hey, and welcome to the podcast. Today is all about vegetables, and I would like to talk a lot about vegetables and how you can incorporate them in your everyday diet and work, and why you should do this. Plus, I would like to talk about which vegetables you should be using and how you can get them into your kids and into your diet, and how to prioritize this as a main part of your diet. So this will be me rambling a little about vegetables and why I think you should be eating vegetables, and which kind of vegetables and how to find and how to pick when you're out buying vegetables. So it is super important that we need to get these vegetables in, and this doesn't need to break the bank. It doesn't need to be super expensive if you cut out all the processed vegetables or just all the super other stuff with some kind of vegetables in. Cut these out, and then just fantastic raw local vegetables. You will be so much better off. The conventional wisdom and my philosophy and the primal philosophy as well are aligned on the stance on vegetables. The more the better. So let's keep this up. Let's get more vegetables in. Let's set it up so at least 50% of our entire meal is based around some kind of vegetables. It should be the centerpiece of your meals, your snacks. Vegetables make things so much better. And just remember, it's not the carbs that make a spaghetti bolognese fantastic. It's the sauce. It's the tomato sauce and the good free-range beef and everything here that will make it a lot better. So remember this. Choose a huge variety of vegetables, but let's start with one of my favorites, which is leafy greens. This is just a humongous and fantastic powerhouse filled with minerals like calcium and magnesium. A very good source to get calcium and magnesium is green leafy greens like kale, spinach, broccoli, small broccolis, watercress. There's a lot of them. My favorites are absolutely broccoli and kale. I use spinach a lot in my breakfast omelet. But to get kids to get in these leafy greens, broccoli is one of they're hard to get them to like it, but once you have them in there, they will choose it both raw and cooked. But start incorporating them early. So when you're making your baby food, try to mix in broccoli in a lot of things. It's a very powerful taste, especially compared to the pre-made packaged baby foods. Their broccoli isn't that strong in taste. So when you make your own, you can dim the power of the strength of the broccoli taste with some butter. Very nice grass-fed butter is fantastic for this. For the kale, use this in shakes with coconut milk and cream. This helps the kids a lot, getting this in as well, and the adults, the males and everyone who have a hard time with this. But let's not get all hooked up on only the greens. Explore all the different colors you can find, and there are a huge amount of colors within the this spectrum of vegetables and fruits. You can have so many fantastic things, and they all have some kind of specific health promotion and reduce risk of cancer, and all of these fantastic things that you can do. For example, let's take the red plants like pomegranates, cherries, watermelon. These are more of the fruit family, but in the reds we have red bell peppers as well. They have been shown to have a reduced risk of prostate cancer and cancer as well, and tumors, even though tumors are good as well. The greener ones, not the leafy green ones, the green plants like avocados, lime, green beans, zucchini, have a high are high in carotenoids and have a powerful anti-aging effect. It's just fantastic. And then the yellow and orange ones, vegetables and fruits, bananas, papayas, and the peppers as well, carrots, butternut squash, pineapples, have beta carotene for the immune support as well as an inflammatory effect. But I have saved the best for last, which is cruciferous vegetables. We put the broccoli in here again, the Brussels sprouts, the kale, bok choy, horseradish, and cauliflower. Cauliflower is my favorite. Just at the time of year here in November, December, it's fantastic. It's a little late in the season, but it's a fantastic for a lot of different things. You can cook up risottos without rice with cauliflower. You can make a pizza crust with it, and you can make one of my super favorite simple dishes with cauliflower is just cut them up in smaller chunks and mix them up with a good oil. Could be coconut oil, or it could be a macadamia nut oil, and then mix in some good quality curry, dried curry, and then fry it off, roasting it in the oven at a 220 degrees Celsius. And here you'll have a fantastic little crispy snack side dish for all of your meats and sauces. This is fantastic both as a snack and as a side dish for your meats. Regardless of which vegetables you choose, all vegetables offer a outstanding nutritional value. That's why I advocate that this should be the centerpiece of your diet, of your meals, at least 50%. And they can help reduce systemic inflammation. They decrease aging, and they just protect against so many things, radical damage, and it just keeps on going. But let's talk a little about what vegetables you should choose beside the kale and the broccoli and the cauliflower. Artichokes, asparagus, avocado, all kind of beets, bell peppers, bok choy, broccoli again, Brussels sprouts. Especially take the Brussels sprouts and you take out the green outer, a little bitter leaves. They are fantastic to use as chips. Just mix them up with a little salt and some good oil and roast them in the oven for 10 to 12 minutes, mixing in regularly, and you'll have at 175 Celsius. You'll have these slowly. They will start up getting crispy, fantastic chips for a Friday night. Cabbage, carrots, celery, cucumbers, eggplants, fennel. These are fantastic. Mushrooms are very tomatoes are just fantastic for your everyday diet, and use and incorporate them in everything you cook. But there's a vegetable family that I haven't been talking about right now. That's the certain vegetables that have a high glycemic index, they have their place, and they are great post-workout and a fantastic source of calories for kids and pregnant women and bodybuilders and breastfeeding moms really need this. They have a higher need for the calories, and the calories they get easily from the high glycemic foods like sweet potato, yams, taro, pumpkin, squash, butternut nut. But if you're trying to lose, if you have excess body fat, then try to cut out these high glycemic foods, because they are very, very easily put in and stored as triglycerides in your body and put right on in storage for your body. If you are working out hard and doing a lot of workouts, then try testing out doing these like a sweet potato or some kind of squash or pumpkin shake or whatever you can use. Try to incorporate this after your workout or in your post-workout meal. Now I've talked about vegetables in general. I would like to talk about the vegetable, how you should pick your vegetables and how you should prioritize your vegetables. There are 5 steps or 5 categories going from best to worst, if you can say it like this. Let's start with number 1. Pick locally grown in-season vegetables from a organic, preferably certified organic grower. This is the best source you can find. If you can hit your farmer's market or your nearby local grower, this is, and if they're organic, this is your best source or for fantastic locally grown vegetables. And this is a easier way when it's locally, and if you go buy it directly from the grower, you will have it in season. He cannot have this out of season. It's very hard. So try to stick locally organic in season vegetables. As a chef, I cannot say anything more on that. Eat by seasons. It will change up your meals a lot more, and it will give you a good variety in your diet and in your nutrition and your nutrition status. So number 2, locally grown in season vegetables from a small farmer with a minimal to no use of pesticides. This is typically somebody who cannot afford getting certified organic. It's too expensive, but they like the thought behind it, and they don't use any pesticides or as little as possible to grow a fantastic in-season vegetable. Number 3, organically grown vegetables that have a edible skin. You can have this as long as it's organic, but try to find a close source instead. But organically grown vegetables is number 3. Number 4, conventionally grown vegetables. Remember, when we're talking about this, that you need to wash a lot of these. If it is with an edible skin, wash off as much as you possibly can. There are special soaps or cleaning sulfurs to clean up your vegetables. I don't use this because I try to avoid buying conventionally grown vegetables. And number 5, out of season vegetables from a distant planet, I was about to say, but a distant origin, so flown halfway around the world to get your vegetables. These are the 5 steps you can step through when you're out shopping for vegetables. It's a lot harder getting vegetables at this time of year. So when we're in the winter time, it's very hard getting good local season, especially for Me being here in Denmark and in the northern part of Europe, it's a little harder, but it's not impossible. So let's talk a little about moderate intake if you're trying to reduce your excess body fat. When we're talking vegetables, like I said before, stay away from the starchy tubers. It is sweet potatoes, yams, taro, squash. A lot of this I see a lot is that, hey, I cut out my pasta and I go very low carb, but you eat a spaghetti squash, so you cut out squashes in spaghetti size and use this instead of pasta. It is fantastic, but if you eat this 3-4 times a week, it's not that fantastic because it is still a little starchy and will have some starches in that you don't need. Mix it up with some cabbage instead. I love having instead of sopping out my pasta with cabbage or cauliflower. These are two fantastic ways to do this. Let's take in two things here that you should limit or avoid if possible. Conventionally grown vegetables with edible skins, or vegetables that's very difficult to wash. Cut these out or avoid at all cost. Generally, just stay away from modified GMO style modified vegetables. This ain't good for you. So now I've been through a very general introduction to vegetables, so let's jump over to some fruits. Fruits, like vegetables, are rich in disease-fighting antioxidants, and this is a very important part. Think about these, and they are very fragile, and we need to get them in our diet, and fruits are a very good source, especially berries. But there is a little backside, a bad thing when we talk about fruits. It's very high glycemic, and it spikes blood sugar a lot, and it's not that, especially foreign grown vegetables. For me, that is pineapple, mangoes, oranges, stuff like this have a very high glycemic index, and they have a very huge effect on my diet and how I eat, and I see this with a lot of my clients as well. But what happens with this high fructose in the body, when it gets into your body, it's very quicker than a lot of different other stuff, especially the chemically altered fructose that we see in a lot of processed foods. They get transformed into triglycerides super fast. This happens when your glycogen stores are already filled, so we're talking about a spillover here. So your body already have every thing it needs, or has the storage it needs of glycogen, and then when you pump it up with filled with fructose and other sugars, we have a spillover, and this is where it's very quickly transformed into triglycerides and have a effect on your leptin. This triggers cravings for more food. For those of you who don't know leptin, let's just take in the hormone leptin. Leptin is produced by fat tissue. Leptin is a key hormone that regulates appetite. This means it regulates how you feel, if you're satiated or not, or if you would like more, if your body demands more food. And this is huge if you're trying to lose weight or controlling your overall nutritional status and calorie intake. but we're still talking about food. If fruits, not food, we're talking about food as well, but we're talking about fruits. And if you would like to lose some excess body fat, then try to eat, like I said, with the vegetables in season, and especially stay away from the foreign fruits. A lot of people that aren't used to living in this climate where they live have a harder time handling all the fruits. But up for berries. Berries are a fantastic source of antioxidant, and they have a very, very, very good way of handling in the body. They aren't that high amount of fructose. They have a low fructose content, and they are filled with antioxidant, as I said before. So try to stay with blueberries, blackberries, strawberries, raspberries, but still keep in mind it is a fruit. You cannot go all in and eat everything you would like. You need to keep in mind that the modern fruit are cultivated and chemically treated and transformed so they can be larger, have a more brightly color than the conventionally real fruit. They are a lot sweeter. If you ask your grandparents, you will hear that apples were closer to a wild apple. It wasn't that sweet as it is today. But let's stick to something like an apple. You still get a lot of good stuff other than just the fructose when we're talking about an apple. So we put it all in. There's a lot of fiber, a lot of other good things in an apple. So try to pick this locally grown in season fruit and use this. And I would like to advise you to eliminate or copy our primal lifestyle of eating, because they would only have access to fruits and stuff like this, like berries, in the summertime when there's more sunlight, more vitamin D, and your body can use this a lot better. We're normally a lot more active and moving around in the summertime. So try to get this, and then stay away from these big box stores, huge packet of, even though it's berries, so you buy this mega 1 kilo 500 grams of berries, and they taste fantastic, and you just end up eating all too much if you buy these big boxes. You couldn't pick 1 kilo of blueberries or raspberries like that, because it would be hard, it would be a lot of work. You would have burned a lot of your calories as well. But try to stay away from these big boxes. Buy small quality organic stuff and then enjoy it. Really enjoy it. Think about it when you're eating it. To wrap up on the berries, I would like to say, if you have the possibility, then try to find wild berries, because they have a lot better nutrition profile. They have a lower fructose content, and they don't have any pesticides or any chemicals added if they're wild berries, and they just have a lot more satiating and enjoyable taste. If you've found wild blueberries or blackberries or raspberries, whatever you can find, this has a huge effect on how the taste is and how you enjoy this. And the same with mushrooms, they just taste a lot better when you've cleaned them and got all the sand out of it. But now I've talked a lot about berries. Let's talk about other primal approved fruits. We've talked about apples, apricots, bananas, cantaloupe, cherries, figs, grapefruits, grapes, kava, honey melon. Here we need to be careful. It's a lot of sugar in there. Kiwi, lemon, lime, lychee, mango. There aren't that many. Peaches, pears, pineapple. All of these are approved. So star fruit, watermelon. But if you're trying to lose weight, then try to stick to the berries. They will be your go-to source for fruit. Let me go through the growing methods and how you should pick and choose when you're buying and choosing your fruits. Number 1, wild, preferred but very hard to find. Plant your own if you have the possibility, or go to your local farmer's market. Very nice choices here. Number 2, locally grown. It's a superior source. It's in season. The taste and everything is a lot better, and you just have a better feeling from a local organic source. Number 3, local, conventionally grown. This will be your third choice. It's okay if it's freshly picked and it benefits your community, and if it's a really local person that you can speak to, them, try to advise them or talk about the use of pesticides, so we can put this a little down on the pesticide use. Number 4, organic, remotely. This is what we see a lot. We can get blueberries in the middle of the winter because they're just flown in from all over the world. Try to reduce this. It's hard for transport and the environment and all of this. Number 5, conventionally grown, and this is just farmed everywhere, and try to reduce this as well. But if it's the only thing you can get, then try to wash it up as good as you can. Number 6, this is something that I see a lot here in Europe as well, is GMO modified fruits, especially the berries, because they get a cleaner looking berry that people would like to buy. Let's talk nutritional value in steps, 3 steps as well. Number 1, they are outstanding, high antioxidant, low glycemic fruits, or berries, I would say. Most fruits like cherries, peaches, apricots with a stone are fantastic with the antioxidant choice. Grapefruits grapefruit with a little lower antioxidant, but with a higher glycemic index, is something like apples. But what we talked about the apple before, they have a high fiber content, so they're not that bad, but they're still here in the lower antioxidant, but great overall fruit. Bananas, figs, grapefruits, kiwi, pears. Let's end up with something that you should avoid, especially, or try to limit your intake if you're trying to lose body fat and still would like some antioxidant, but they are low antioxidant and high glycemics, are dates, dried fruits, it's everything, raisins, everything you can get here. Mangoes, melons, nectarines, oranges, papayas, pineapples. Like I said before, these are lower in antioxidants, but they are high on the glycemic index. This was my introduction to vegetables and fruits, and this is the first that I'll be doing. Then I'll be doing one with herbs and meats, and then we will be doing one with fats and how we go through fats as well. So stay tuned, and if you haven't, it would help me a lot if you like and rate this in the iTunes store. This helps getting the information out to a lot of other people. Go over to crodio.dk and find out on the blog there, and you can find a lot of good recipes and styles of eating, or tips and tricks for getting more nutritional foods for you and your entire family. I'm looking forward to making the next one, which will be herbs and meats and how you should choose and eat these in your diet. Thank you for listening to the Primal Persistence podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share the knowledge in this so we can help as many people as possible getting the physical and energy-based power to conquer every obstacle in their way.